Sketch a graph of the given functions. So y equals x plus 2 times x minus 2. What are my roots here? Do you remember how to find those? Yes. Positive 2 and negative 2. That is correct. Positive 2 goes with which factor? Was that factor number 1 or factor number 2? That is incorrect. This actually goes with factor number 2. Remember? Excuse me. It is y equals your a value times x minus root sub 1 and x minus root sub 2. So this is where it looks like it's a positive, but it really is the negative of that, or the opposite of that. So the roots are negative 2 and 2, if they line up, okay? But I wanted to make sure we pointed that out. Does everybody hear what I said? It's the opposite of what it looks like when it's in factored form. Okay, so let's go ahead and plot those. 2 and negative 2. Those are my roots, my x-intercepts. Is this going to open up or down? Up. And so, as I look at this, and I know that this parabola is symmetric, it looks the same on the left side as it does on the right, I don't know exactly where my vertex is. But I am going to just make sure that it opens up and that I have my 2 x-intercepts there. Now, so your graph might look like that. It might look like this. Okay? I would take both of those because it's not telling you or asking you to find the vertex. All right? Did everybody hear me? You just need to make sure it goes through the roots and that it's opening upwards. Any questions about that? All right, so letter B over here. Y is equal to negative quantity x plus 5 times quantity x plus 1. What are my roots here based on what I just told you? Negative 5 and negative 1. Okay? Negative 5 and negative 1. Because it's like the H hop opposite. It looks like it's positive 5, but it is going to be negative 5. So let's plot negative 5 and negative 1. And Miss Kimberly, is this going to be opening upward or down? Well, okay, why do you say down? Because Julia said? Okay, Julia, now the pressure's on you. Why is it down? Yeah, this A value here is a negative 1. And when it's negative, it opens downward, okay? So, again, we don't know exactly where the vertex is, but I know it's opening downward and it has to go through those x-intercepts. Okay? Maybe you do it like this, and that would be okay too. Any questions about those? What if I put this as negative 5 comma negative 1? Would I take that? No, I would not. That is an ordered pair, and that is not what we're talking about. You need to have 2 different roots. All right, let's put that to the side, and let us go to our notes. At the end of class on your way out, hopefully you got 12-4 done. Make sure you put that in my green bin. Let's go to the notes. This is 3rd period. And I believe we are at the very bottom of the second page of section 12.6. Was there anyone that's here today that was not here yesterday? Okay. So yesterday we talked about, we have this big thing called the quadratic formula. We can use the quadratic formula when we do not have an equation that is factorable, okay? And basically we need to find A, B, and C, and then we substitute these values in. And then we have this really important part called the discriminant. Who can remind Deasia, right? No, not Deasia. Remind me your name. Keasia. Okay, I was close, but not correct. Keasia. Who can remind us of what that discriminant part is here in this formula? Oh, that's not good. Not good. Come on, guys. Where's the discriminant? Somebody other than Yazelle. Ajobo, do you remember? What part of this big formula is the discriminant? Iro? Okay, we don't say B2, it's B squared, but you got the right idea. Yes, this part right here. We are not going to give you that part separately. We will give you the entire quadratic formula, okay? So that you will have to know it's the part under the radical. All right, let's go to the top of the next page then. So whether or not a quadratic can be factored. If it can't be factored and it's a trinomial and it can't be factored using Xbox, we would definitely use quadratic formula, okay? If it can be factored, you also can use quadratic formula at any time as long as it's in standard form, all right? So at the top of the page, check whether or not a function can be factored. Is this, first of all, for letter A, is that in standard form? Yes, it is. And we talked about yesterday, you need to make sure that your quadratic function or quadratic equation is set equal to 0. Okay? And so I want to see if I can do this by factoring. So I'm going to take A times C, which I now kind of use this rainbow and say, I need to multiply 6 times 5. Frederly, come on, you came in late. Let's go. We're not even on the bell work. 6 times 5 is 30. And my middle term here, -2, the B value goes at the bottom. Can you find factors of 30 that add up to -2? Alexandra, put her away. Well, let's see. We got 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4 doesn't work, 5 and 6. And my values are positive 30. So let's see. What do you think? Can you see any that are going to add up to -2? I mean, if it's got to be negative, all of these have to be negative because a negative times negative is a positive. But do any add up to -2? No. So this is not factorable. Not factorable. Not able to be factored. So you would use the quadratic formula here. Okay? Not factorable. Use the quadratic formula. All right. We don't have to do the quadratic formula that. We're just seeing whether we can factor them. So for B, is this in standard form? Yes, it is. We got the 0 at the end, the smiley face. We're all happy. I need to do A times C. Again, I'm kind of doing the rainbow thing. 2 times -9 is -18. And my B value in the middle is 3, can we think of factors of negative 18 that add to give you positive 3? 6 and 3. Well, one's got to be negative because my answer up here is negative. Not the 6th. Because here I have a positive 3. That tells me my larger digited number is positive. The other is negative. So this is factorable. It is able to be factored. So I could do Xbox with it. But you can also use the quadratic formula here. The quadratic formula works for everything in standard form, okay? It should work for all of those. So if you wanted to use, if we said use whatever method you want and you love the quadratic formula, you could use it on the whole test if we allowed you to, all right? And some people like it because it's consistent and they can count on it because they know it's gonna, they know it's gonna work. All right, so let's take a look at example 1 where they are telling us to use it. And I want you to write this down over at the side somewhere, that this is the quadratic formula. X equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. Okay? First of all, I need to see, is this in standard form? Yes, it is. Okay? So make sure you set the equation equal to 0. And make a smiley face there if you want. I don't know. Kind of makes me happy. All right. So what is then my A, B, and C values? What is A? 5 right here. And remember, we're only talking about the coefficients or the constants. What's my B value? 2. And how about my C value? -4. Nice job, Ajobo. Now we substitute. And that's all we're going to do. We're not going to figure anything out. Okay? Yeah, we'll go ahead and substitute. So opposite of B. If B is 2, the opposite of B is going to be -2. Okay, -2. Now, they don't have it here, but it must be plus or minus. Andy, please put it away. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. B is 2. Substitute 2 in for that first part. Do you have these notes? Let's write them down. Minus 4 times a. A is 5. Times C is -4. All divided by 2 times A, which is 2 times 5. All right, once you substitute that in, I'm going to change things up a little bit. I had a teacher just give me a tip because this is hard for kids. This is hard for you as students. We are just going to focus on the discriminant right now. Just the discriminant, okay? So put a little arrow over and we're going to figure this out. What is 2 squared? 4 minus, what is 4 times 5? 20. And what is 20 times -4? -80. So this is 4 minus a -80. Can I have that double negative there? No. So I'm going to add the opposite, and my discriminant is 84. Okay? My discriminant is 84. That is a positive number. So if I have the discriminant of 84, how many real roots will I have here? How many? 2. If it's positive, you're going to have 2. If it's equal to 0, you're going to have 1. And if it's negative, you have none or 0. All right, so I'm going to have 2 real roots. Now that we have found the discriminant, we can plug that in and say this is still opposite of 2 plus or minus the square root of, and we didn't do the square root yet, but we have the discriminant of 84. So put 84 here, and then 2 times 5 in the denominator is 10. All right, now I want everybody, please check and try to get a yellow calculator, because we need to do some calculations and I need to make sure you know how to do this. Okay? All right. So on your calculators, first of all, this opposite of 2 or negative 2, you have to hit the white little button that has the negative here. Don't go over here where the operation buttons are. Julia, did you hear me? Go to the white. So put in, after you clear, make sure it's on, negative 2, not negative 5, good grief, negative 2, and right now we're going to do the plus, okay? So we have this button, the negative, then you put in 2, then you do plus. So I'm actually writing out all of these buttons. Maybe I should do it on here because I'm doing this video. So sorry. Just want to make sure everybody gets this. All right, one more time. So buttons are the opposite button here, 2. We're doing plus first. So plus, okay. Then the square root, you have to hit the green second button, which is in the upper left-hand corner. And then you're going to hit the x squared button, which I think is what, just to the left of 7? Is that right? Okay, and that should give you the square root, right? We're taking the square root of 84, so you would press 8, and then 4, and this is very important. Then you hit enter, because you want to see what is the answer that you get for the numerator. Now, it's still going to be in square root form, okay? But you have to hit enter there. Then you hit divided by, and then my number down here is 10, which is 10. And the final, not the final yet, you hit enter again. And then finally, right above enter, you hit the 2 arrow buttons. And you should get a decimal. So down here at the bottom, it's negative 2 plus the square root of 84 divided by 10. What did you get as a decimal? 0. Tell me what numbers you got, like first 3 numbers. 765. Okay. Barrington, stay awake. 0.7. Thank you. All right, let's say I'm rounding this to the hundreds place, like hundreds as in dollars and cents. So that means I would only have 2 decimal places. You go next door to the right, 5 or more, it's going up. So my answer here would be 0.72. That is your root, okay? That is a root. And then we do the same thing with the negative value. So we would say -2 minus the square root of 84, all divided by 10. So you're going to start the same way. You hit the negative button, 2. This time we do minus, second button. Andy, you should try this just to make sure. X squared, 84, enter. Make sure you hit enter. This is a very important one to do. Once you have everything in the numerator done, hit enter. Then divided by 1, 0, enter, and then the arrows again. And what do we get this time? Okay, -1.116. I'm going to round it to the hundreds place, which is 2 decimal points for hundreds. Go next door, 5 or more, it's going up. So x here is equal to -1.12. It's going to go up to 2 because 5 or more. And this should be x equals also. So those are your 2 x-intercepts. Questions on that? So I am recording this. I have this all written down as to what you would actually push into the calculator. All right, let's go to the top of the next page. We're going to be just practicing some of this, trying to get used to it, okay? So the problem says solve x squared minus 12x equals -11 using quadratic formula. Step 1, rewrite the equation in standard form. Is it in standard form right now? No. What would I need to do? Add 11. So add 11 there, add 11. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. -11 plus 11 cancels out and gives you that 0 smiley face that we are looking for. And over on the left, I have x squared. Can I combine -12x and 11? No, those are not like terms. So -12x plus 11 equals. Okay, there it is in standard form. You also want to make sure you have it in standard form because you have to correctly identify A, B, and C. So what is my A value here? 1. 1 out front. How about my B value? -12. Make sure you're looking at the sign. And C is +11. Very good. Step 2, apply the quadratic formula. So let's write it down first. Opposite of B, x equals, because we're talking about our roots. X equals opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all divided by 2A. Now, here's what I'm going to have you do first, because sometimes we ask you to find the discriminant first. So we're going to focus on this discriminant part right here and get that answer or value first, okay? So if B is -12, then I'm going to put -12 squared. All I'm doing is substituting values in, minus 4 times my A value of 1 and my C value of 11. Gentlemen? So what is -12 squared? You can do that on your calculator. 144. And make sure, especially if you have a negative, that you put it in parentheses. So 144 minus 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 11 is 44. This is all still the discriminant. 144 minus 44 is how much? 100. That is your discriminant. So because it is a positive value, how many real solutions will I have? Very good. Noelia says 2 real solutions. And now this makes it a little bit easier, I think. Okay? So we are going to say x equals, we want the opposite of b. Well, if b is negative 12, the opposite is going to be positive 12 plus or minus the square root of 100. See, we already calculated all that. That was in underneath the radical, so that's a lot easier. All divided by 2 times 1, which we know is 2. All right. So it does take a few steps, but here we go. X equals 12. I'm going to do plus. So I'm doing just the plus part down here. What is the square root of 100? 10. So put 10 there, divided by 2. Now, this division bar acts kind of like a parenthesis, so we need to do what's on top first. 12 plus 10 is 22, divided by 2, so x is equal to 11. That is my first root, first 0. Now I'm going to do the negative part. So over here, in green for the negative, x is equal to, we already said opposite of b. If b is negative 12, this is positive 12. Girls, come on. What's going on? Positive 12 minus, we said the square root of 100 is 10, all divided by 2. X is equal to 12 minus 10 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So x is equal to 1. So my roots, and I will tell you they're putting and. I need to clarify this because we were putting or because the book had or. But my 2 roots are x is equal to 11 and x is equal to 1. So what do you think about doing the discriminant first? I think that's a little helpful, don't you? Because that square root, I know sometimes can be kind of intimidating. Any questions about that? All right, let's see if we can get one more in at the top of the next page. All right, talk math with me. When you look at that first equation, 2x squared plus 3x equals 8, what can you tell me about it? It's not in standard form. What did you say? We do not worry. If you're going to use quadratic formula, because we are not factoring, this is a very important point. If you're not going to factor, you don't worry about GCF. If you can try it by factoring, then you can do that, but it doesn't have a GCF here anyway. So I would need to put it in standard form, meaning set the equation equal to 0, which means I would need to subtract 8 and subtract 8. The 8s are going to cancel. That gives me my 0 on the end, which makes me happy. 2x squared plus 3x minus 8 equals 0. So I have an a value, Devion, of how much? Can you hear me? What's my A value here? You know? Not the X, just the coefficient, just the numbers. Good. 2. Kimberly, what's my B value? 3. And Julia, how about my C? Close. -8, right? Got to look at the sign in front. -8. All right. So did you know there's a song that helps you with this? Guess who's going to sing it? X equals opposite of B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Do you know what song that is? I think it's Hickory Dickory Dock, isn't it? Huh? I don't know. I have to think about that now. Jeez. All right, so let's substitute our values in. X is equal to, if B is 3, opposite of B is going to be -3. Plus or minus the square root of B squared, that is 3 squared minus 4 times A, which is 2, times C, which is -8. All divided by 2 times my A value of 2. Now, let's focus on the discriminant first. This part right here, okay? And I am going to be pushing it up here. So 3 squared is how much? 9 minus 4 times 2 is 8. And 8 times -8 is -64. We cannot have a double negative. So you add the opposite. And this is going to be a discriminant of 73. That's my discriminant. That tells me I am having 2 real roots. So for the positive side, the plus side, I'm going to say X is equal to opposite of 3 plus square root of 73 all divided by 2 times 2, which is 4. On your calculators, see if you can find -3 plus the square root of 73. Hit enter, and then divide by 4. Tell me what you get. Who's got a value? Anyone? Anyone? Guys, I don't have my cheat sheet with me, so I really do need a value. So what'd you get? 1.886. Did anybody else get that? Did anybody else do it? Let me check. Since everybody's so into this. So opposite of 3 plus second x squared button 73. Enter. Divided by 4. Enter arrow. I got 1.386. So not sure what you did incorrect there. 1.386. And then if I round it to the hundreds place, look next door, 5 or more, 1.39. The other one is going to be x equals opposite of 3 minus square root of 73, all divided by 4. You should try to figure that one out too. See if you get the same value. Opposite of 3 minus second x squared, 73, hit enter, divided by 4, hit enter, arrow. I got negative 2.886. Negative 2.886 to the hundreds place, negative 2.89. Again, make sure you bring your computers tomorrow. You will be listening or watching a video, and also I will have more of these notes with these problems on it. Pardon?
What do we do for a second one? Like since it's equal to 0.
Since it's already equal to 0, it's A, B, and C, like it is. So it's already in standard form. And then you just do opposite B plus or minus that whole formula.
So it would be nothing different.
Nope. It'll be very similar. Okay, I do have a few papers to pass back. Julia, you want it now? Angie, Asia.